Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of our Kotlin Flow series. In episode 1, we understood what a flow is, and today we go one level deeper. Okay, so you know how is basically Marvel movies. There are different type of superheroes. Some fly, some run fast, and some throw fireballs. Okay, so similarly, flows also have different types. Okay, each with its own superpower. So in this video, we explore the different type of flows like regular flow, state flow, and shared flow with some fun analogies, live examples, Android demos, and the beginner friendly explanations. Okay, so today's mission is very simple. By the end of this video, you will exactly know which flow to use, and just like choosing your own, Pokemon before your battle. Okay, so a quick warm-up recap. Like in episode 1, we said like flow it's like a Netflix series. It is basically a Netflix which keeps on pushing the data over time. Okay, if you haven't watched that episode, no stress. I mean, I have already shared the link of the last episode where you can just go again and have a look and understand what flow is exactly, how does it work, what is the purpose and use of flow. Okay, and then just remember, flow basically emits the values and we collect them like receiving messages. Okay, that is a quick recap. Okay, now, so think of, there are three main types of flows. One is cold state flow, which basically is hot plus hold states. Shared flow, that is hot plus broadcast. Okay, so think all of three as like beverages. Flow is nothing but a cold coffee. You get a fresh one every time you order. Okay. And state flow you considered as a hot tea with a flask. It's already hot, ready, and remembers your last sip. Okay. And shared flow you considered as a hot tea with a flask, a party drink dispenser, which one source everyone can take a cup simultaneously. Okay, just to recap again, consider flow as a cold coffee which you get a fresh one every time you order. The state flow is nothing but a kind of hot tea with a flask. It's already hot, ready, and remembers your last sip. And the shared flow is basically a party drink dispenser, one source where everyone can take a cup simultaneously. Okay, now regular flow. Let's start with the regular flow. A normal flow is basically is lazy in nature, like me on a Sunday morning. It will not move until someone says, "Hey, collect it." So every collector gets its own fresh copy of data. It's like whosoever is going to collect, they are going to get the fresh copy of data. As I've mentioned in the last slide also, it is like a cold coffee. When you order it, you collect it, you will get a fresh coffee every time you order. Okay, so it is cold in nature. It starts running only when it's collected and it emits value one by one. Okay, now let's see a simple example of a regular flow. Well, number flow equals to flow. So guys, this is how the flow keeps on emitting the data. You have to make use of this flow as a keyword, and inside the parenthesis you can emit the data like 1, 2, 3, and between there is a delay of few milliseconds. Afterwards you will start emitting the data. Okay, so if there are 10 collectors that collects this flow, so each one will get 1, 2, 3 independently. Okay, let's assume this flow is going to emit the data from 1 to 10. Okay, and at the same time there are 10 different collectors who are going to collect all of these values. So each collector will get each of the data independently, like each person ordering their own coffee. Okay, that is how the regular flow works. If there is a collector, they will receive the fresh data, and each collector will have their own data. Okay, now let's move to the state flow. So state flow is basically is your friend who always remembers everything. Like even if you join the conversation late, they say, "Oh hey, here's what we are talking about." It is like a live data, but cooler in nature. Okay, so that's what the state flow does. Like for example, the key properties are always have a current value, emits the latest state immediately, and perfect for UI state. I will quote a simple example. Let's say there is a text view, the edit text where you as a user are allowed to pass some value. So by default, when you launch that UI, you will see hello world in the edit text. All right. Now, as soon as you start changing the data, as soon as you start typing something, you will see the latest value inside the edit field. So that is what the state flow is. It basically takes initial value, always the default values, and whatever you type, it will emit the latest state to the user. Like for example, if I am pressing or I am passing some input values to it, I will see the latest value only. I won't be able to see hello world again, the initial, which was the initial value that was passed in the edit text. Okay, now let's try and understand from a simple example of state flow. Like there is a count of type mutable state flow, which is taking a initial value of 0. Okay, now a count I'm creating, this is not a private variable, I'm creating another variable of count type, which is of type state flow, and it takes the values as integer, and it is initialized with the equals to underscore count, which is this one. Okay, why I'm creating these two lines, why I'm writing these two lines? Because the state flows or flows are immutable in nature. You cannot modify them. So that is the reason, if you want to keep on appending the new values, you have to make use of the mutable state in nature. Okay, so function increment, and then it basically changes like underscore count dot value plus plus. So it is basically appending the new values. That is what it is doing. State flow basically that's what, like, it will keep on changing the value, but if you observe here, it is taking the initial value as well. Okay, now if we compare the state flow with the shared flow, it says that it is hot in nature, it does not take any initial value, it broadcasts to many collectors, like good for one-time events like navigation, toast, or errors. Okay, like for example, when a new collector joins, boom, it gets the latest value instantly. That's why my bad. What I'm trying to say for the state flow is, whichever user comes into picture, it will always get the latest value instantly. They won't be able to see the last values, but it will always be emitting the latest value to the user. Okay, whereas the shared flow is basically someone which is announcing for free samosas. Like everyone nearby gets the message instantly. It is like a radio jockey or radio station which keeps on emitting the new songs, irrespective of thinking about that if there is someone to listen to those songs or not. Let's understand from a simple example. Same thing I'm doing, which I was doing for state flow, but in this case it is of type string instead of integer, and there is no initial value, and I have assigned this as with the mutable variable events, and I'm calling a function send event, which basically emits the show toast value. Okay, so if you emit something, all the collectors will receive it. It's like a group WhatsApp messages, right, which nobody asked for. Even if you're not asking for, you will keep on getting the messages. That is what shared flow is all about. It doesn't wait for the collectors, it just focuses on emitting the data. And one good thing about shared flow is that you can replay the last values also. For example, I have emitted the data from 1 to 10, and there was a collector which started collecting the data from 6 onwards. So ideally it will be receiving the data from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if it is a state flow. But if it is a shared flow, it can replay the first 5 values again by using dot replay and passing like 2 or 3 something. Like I want to retrieve or I want to view the last 5 values that has been emitted by the shared flow. But that cannot happen for state flow. It will always emit the latest value only. Okay, so folks, this is the slide, or this slide is basically your cheat sheet. If you really want to screenshot something, like you want to understand in a single shot, this is your cheat sheet. Okay, so it basically covers the difference between flow versus state flow versus shared flow. So these are the types. These are like what category it is. A flow is a cold flow, which basically emit if there is a collector. It does not store any value. Each gets its own emissions. Okay. State flow at the same time, it is a kind of hot flow, and it stores the latest value, as I've mentioned, like for example, an edit text value, and it gets all the latest value plus the new values. SharedFlow is also a category of hot one. It does not store the latest value. Rather, it will keep on emitting the values, and you can replay the old values, and you can collect the latest value also. It is basically a broadcast to all. Even if there is no collector to it, it will basically keep on emitting the data to you. All right. So, like where to use what? Okay. So flow is basically can be used for data stream from a repository, where you pass it to a repository, from a repository to a use case or a view model class. StateFlow is simple, can be used for UI state, as I've mentioned. SharedFlow something can be used for events like toast, navigate, or messages, where you just want to emit the data. For example, you want to show the toast messages or the navigation messages or any other kind of event you want to do, or you want to do any kind of broadcast. There you can make use of SharedFlow. Okay, so the example scenario I would say is shopping cart screen. Okay, the cart items are nothing but the flow. The cart total is nothing but the state flow, the latest value. Okay, the item edit toast is basically shared flow. Understood? I hope this example makes much more sense to you to actually differentiate between all the three categories. Okay, whatever items you have added into a cart, that is nothing but a flow. Okay, the cart total, the amount that you see, is the state flow, which is the latest value. And the item added, whenever you are adding new items or you removing the new items, you are seeing the toast, right? That is the broadcast. So that is nothing but the shared flow. Even if there is no collector to see or receive, it will emit the information to you. That is what the flows or the state or the shared flow works. Okay, now the final takeaway is, so flow is the cold private coffee, state flow is nothing but your hot thermos, the shared flow is free drinks for everyone. And I believe like now you are officially know the personality of each flow. And in the next episode, we will dive into hot versus cold flows, which with actual mental models which you will never forget, and you will basically understand. We will deep dive more into cold versus hot flows in the next episode. All right, so this is it, guys. If this video has helped you, then do hit like, subscribe, and tell me what topic you want next, and then I'll see you in the next video. All right, thank you, bye.